Introduction and origin of Uta-garuta. Uta-garuta, or known as poetry karuta, is a type of deck of karuta, Japanese traditional playing cards. A set of Uta-garuta contains 100 cards within a waka poem written on each. Uta-garuta is also the name of the game in which the deck is used.
The standard collection of poems used in the Hyakunin issue chosen by poet Fujiwara no Teika in the Heian period, which is often also used as the name of the game. Since early 20th century, the game is played mostly on Japanese New Year holidays.
Objective. The objective of the games played with these cards is matching the Yomifuda with the Torifuda. The goal of the game is to match the syllables from both decks to form a phrase. Players attempt to recognize the poem being read as soon as possible, and race to find and take their corresponding Torifuda as soon as they do.
Players attempt to recognize the poem being read as soon as possible, and race to find and take the corresponding Torifuda. When all the cards are taken, the player with the most cards wins the game.
Uta-garuta is played by two opposing players or teams. There are two ways to play the game, which has a different order to its players: Chirashi Dori and Genpei Gassen.
The reader reads out a poem on the Yomifuda, while the rest of the players search for the Torifuda to complete the finishing phrases of the poem. In Chirashidori, there's one reader and 3 or more players, while in Genpei Gassen, there's also one reader but with 2 teams of 1 or more players each.
In Genpei Gassen, the 2 groups divided are called Genji and Heike. In Chirashi Dori, players can sit around the cards, while in Genpei Gassen, players are encouraged to sit with their teams, and both the Genji and the Heike should sit face to face.
For the court layout of Uta-garuta, Uta-garuta can be played on a flat surface where the cards could settle. Uta-garuta is usually played indoors, on the floor where players can sit down with their cards.
Although it can be played anywhere, the flat surface that is being played should be wide enough to spread out cards. Avoid playing outdoors so that natural elements such as wind will not disturb the gameplay.
It's played with a deck of cards that show 100 different 5-line poems from an anthology called the Hyakunin issue, which is around 800 years old. Each poem is split across 2 cards. The first 3 lines are printed on one card, and the last 2 on another.
Materials. There are 2 types of cards. Vomifuda, reading cards with a poem and an illustration of the poet, and Torifuda, grabbing cards which contains the last 2 verses of the poem. Each deck contains 100 poems and 200 cards.
Yomifuda, 100 reading cards with a figure of a person, their name and poem on each one. Torifuda, 100 grabbing cards with only the lower phrases of.
At the start of the game, 50 Torifuda are neatly arranged on the floor faced up. When the reader starts reading out of a poem on the Yomifuda, the players quickly search for the Torifuda on which the corresponding lower phrase is written.
In Chirashi Dori, when all the cards are taken, the player with the most cards win the game. In Genpei Gassen, the side that has no more Torifuda on their side wins the game.
Values. You can be a fast thinker in decision making because it requires quick thinking, response time, and physical speed.
The basic idea of any Iwase Karuta game is to be able to quickly determine which card out of an array of cards is required.
It is often played by children at elementary school and junior high school level during class as an educational exercise.